It is my pleasure to be in front of you today to deliver a speech from what's called the Better Speaker series. And this is a special series of speeches intended to help you master certain areas of public speaking. And for me, today I chose the topic of impromptu speaking. So I'd like to speak to you about some strategies, tools, and techniques for you to improve your impromptu speaking. And I hope to keep it pretty simple by telling a few anecdotes of how I learned impromptu speaking in my own life and some interesting ideas for that. So this is a part of a manual called the Advanced Communicator Silver. It's one of those manuals you get to after you finish your first 10 speeches. And there's many different topics. You can choose up to 10 different topics for this impromptu, this manual, Better Speaker series. Okay, so these are some of the main principles of impromptu speaking. You want to listen, pause, confirm, tell, and end. Now, I want to tell you a little bit of a story about what this means. One time, I was invited to go down to a jazz club with a friend. I was sitting in the audience, having some nachos, listening to the jazz, and then the artist asked me if I'd like to come up and play a few songs with the band. And I was so nervous, so I said, oh no, I don't think I'm ready. But what I really should have done is I should have gone up to the band, I should have listened to what they were doing, listened to what they were playing, and then I would take a pause to think about what I would do. Then I would confirm what I would play with them by playing the main melody of the song. Because in jazz you get if you listen to a jazz song, you hear the melody, then you hear the improvised solos, and then you hear the melody again at the end. So to me, the confirm stage is when in jazz you would play the melody again so people know what you're doing. And then you have the opportunity to actually tell your story. So in this case, I would be making up a solo on the piano that goes along with the chords of that song. And then finally, I would end. So I would have a nice conclusion and not be too long and just finish my performance with the band. And I really missed the opportunity because that was really interesting that the guy recognized me and asked me to come up and play with him. And I kind of regret that I didn't do that. But just talking over the experience with my piano instructor later, he told me, yeah, if you're going to be sitting with a band, just don't jump in and start speaking or playing the piano right away. Take a moment, listen to what they're doing, then pause, then tell them what you want, then confirm, tell them, and end. So that's a nice system of public speaking that if you are given a table topics, I would try these same approaches. So for example, if a table topic master said, what do you think of Rob Ford, which is what I had last week, I would suggest, first of all, think about what the question is, listen really carefully to the table topics master, and then confirm. Well, do you pause first? Yeah, you pause first. Just pause, think about it, take a little break, and smile at the audience. Then confirm what the question was, saying, well, I think Rob Ford, well, you're asking me an opinion about Rob Ford, what do I think about Rob Ford? Then go into the discussion about what you want to say, keep it really to the point, brief, and not too complicated, and then finally wrap up with a nice conclusion. So that's what's called the 5-step formula for giving an impromptu talk. Now, there's some strategies that are recommended for Toastmasters that are quite helpful for doing impromptu speaking. And first of all, you can choose any of these strategies if you want to do a successful impromptu speech. And I would suggest going with the first one, which is to express an opinion. For me, I was able to express an opinion about Rob Ford, saying that I thought that it was showing that Canada is growing up as a country, that we have these public figures who are experiencing troubles, and then I provided some supporting statements. I provided evidence such as, well, people seem to like voting Rob Ford in all the time, so maybe we do support him, and this is changing our image as a country from being this peace-loving, polite country to this country of celebrities who are getting into trouble. And then a variation of that strategy would be to offer reasons why you agree or disagree. And there are a few other strategies. You can address the cause and effect. You can break it down into different components, or you can also discuss the past, present, and future. So when giving an impromptu speech, I think the most important thing is to just go up and do it. It's really important to get that practice. Because I know from playing music that the really important thing to do is to, if you want to be good at improvising, you need to have lots of practice where you get familiar with your instrument and get in that mode where you're just able to connect what you want to say to what comes out through your fingers and your voice. So I find for impromptu speaking, the best way to get better is to just go up and do table topics every single chance you can. In another club that I'm in, we have a lady who, every single meeting, she doesn't sign up for a role, and she just goes up and does table topics every single meeting. She's been doing that for like years, like 3 or 4 years. And right now, everyone thinks that, who doesn't know her very well, thinks that she had done a prepared speech because they're so polished, they're so well thought out, and they're just really, really to the point. And so that's what I suggest. If you're really scared of impromptu speaking, which I understand a lot of people are really not so sure about it because it's very scary, my advice to you is don't worry if you're doing it wrong or if you're making mistakes. Just get up there and do an impromptu speech as often as you can and try to think about the main points, which I mentioned before. First, listen to what's going on, repeat the question, confirm, pause, then tell your story with either a opinion or supporting facts, and then wrap up with a nice ending. So does anyone have any questions about impromptu speaking before we close today? Anyone had a difficult moment?
No, I have a question about being sincere. You think you cannot just make up stories as you go, telling an absolute lie? Is not correct?
Well, I would say, I think the thing about being sincere is that if you don't know what you're saying, it's better to admit that you don't know rather than make up a fancy story, because that will eventually catch up to you, I think. But for this Toastmasters, you can make up whatever story you want, and it's awesome. Anyway, that's my time, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the speech.